What's up everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about my top 5 basketball shoes of 2025 so far. This is really only going to be shoes that released in 2025 or towards the very end of 2024. And before we get into those 5 shoes, we're going to get some honorable mentions out of the way that did or maybe also did not release in 2025 and that are still available on the market right now. And those are the Nike Book 1, of course, my favorite shoe. The Nike Sabrina 2, also a really good option. Still some colorways available, a lot of new colorways coming out. The Way of Weight 11, that one released in November and was a close one for me. I actually considered putting it in the video. The Adidas Dame 9, I only recently got a pair. So these are the best example, even though they've been out for a while. Still a great shoe. A very underrated shoe, the Hezi Low Volume 2 from New Balance and the Nike GT Cut 3. All of these shoes are still available, even though they didn't release in 2025 and they have top tier performance, so they are also still great options. But now for these shoes that specifically released in 2025, the first pair we're going to talk about is the 361 Joker 1 DT. The regular Joker 1 was a solid performer, but these are just on another level. They have a relatively high retail price of 200 euros or dollars, and they have some very interesting tech specs. Of course, we have a nice carbon fiber plate in there. We have an RPU outsole, which you could also just see here. And we have ultra fiber synthetic leather in the upper, which is something I really appreciate because I'm on a plant-based diet and I also try to implement a vegan lifestyle throughout my whole life. So I said before, the Book 1 is my favorite shoe, but I've switched to only pairs with synthetic uppers. So I don't use my leather pairs anymore, and I'm not going to buy new colorways with leather uppers. I'm only going to get pairs with the synthetic upper. They actually also prefer how it feels on foot. So here I was a little concerned at first because it looked like it was going to be leather, but the people at 361 told me it's an ultra fiber based synthetic leather. So it feels very nice on foot, actually very similar to real leather, but it's water resistant, it's easier to clean. To be honest, it feels just like real leather on foot, but I just like the cruelty-free and animal-free aspect of this synthetic leather. Now for the other performance aspects, the cushioning setup is a setup with a really complicated name, so you're just gonna have that on screen somewhere because I'm not sure how to pronounce it, I'm not even gonna try, but it feels extremely bouncy. From the first moment when I put them on foot, these felt incredibly bouncy with great impact protection, and the foam just compressed so nicely underfoot, but it felt like it was giving me a lot of energy back with every step. Of course, the carbon plate also helps with that, and the traction performance is also really damn good. They have one of the loudest squeaks I've ever heard. Of course, that doesn't impact performance, but if you're somebody who prefers their basketball shoes to squeak, you will absolutely love these. It's even kind of a weird sound at first. I'm also going to have a clip of that on screen in a second. And they just perform extremely well on clean and dusty courts. I'm not too sure about outdoor durability because the pattern is very shallow, so the grooves are not really that thick and also not that deep. So I'd stick to indoor basketball with these. There's going to be some other options later in this video that also work for outdoors. The support features are also extremely good. And another plus is they're also available in a low version, which is just nice if you're someone who prefers low tops like me. Or if you play with ankle braces that makes wearing high tops a little bit more difficult, you can also just get the low version. They perform just as well. And of course, I talked about this in a lot of other videos. The height of the shoe does not impact how supportive they are, especially how good the ankle support is. That comes from a lot of other features, having a wide base, having a heel corner or a shank plate, having good lockdown, and having a good one-to-one fit. Speaking of the fit, I would go true to size with these, maybe a tiny little bit on the narrow side. One big downside that I have with this shoe is that they're not available in my true size, my size 14. Otherwise, you'd see me wearing these a lot more in my Instagram stories where I always post the shoes I wear. So make sure to head over there and leave a follow. Also follow on TikTok. And of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Would really appreciate it and would help me out a lot. And you won't be missing any of my new videos. Now, with number 5 out of the way, we're gonna go and talk about the number 4 on my list, which is going to be the Adidas Harden Volume 9. I've been a huge fan of the Harden line ever since it first released with the Harden Volume 1. It was the first pair of basketball shoes I had multiple pairs of. I think I had like 6 or 7 colorways. I played through them all. I just loved them so much. Back then I was begging my mom to get me a new pair when my old one was used, and luckily she did. I just really enjoyed the Harden line, and the Harden 9 is no different. The only, let's say, black sheep of the line is the Harden Volume 5, of course. Those were terrible. All the others were really, really good. And here we also have a really, really nice shoe. I especially love the design of the shoe. Looks really, really cool in my opinion. They retail for 160 euros or dollars. They still feature, just like the Harden 7 and the Harden Volume 8, a boost and light strike cushioning combination, which feels very nice in my opinion. We also have the Adidas torsion plate, which looks a little bit like carbon fiber, but sadly isn't, just like this heel tab here in the back of the shoe also looks like carbon fiber, but it's not. Just keep that in mind, don't be fooled by that. And we have a kind of herringbone traction pattern with some radial aspects here on those two pods in your forefoot. We have a similar, or we had a similar setup on the Harden Volume 8. The only thing that was different was that we didn't really have herringbone here in the middle. It was more like a James Harden or H-like traction pattern, and still performs very good. Picks up less dust than the Harden Volume 8, which is always nice. Where I could notice it does pick up the most is on those free Adidas straps here in the heel, which is kind of weird. Those really seem to attract dust. Maybe the rubber compound is a little bit different. And of course we have a semi-translucent part here, the red one in the middle here, you can see really good. And the outside is more like solid rubber, but also just a tiny little bit see-through, if that makes sense, because you can see that torsion plate through there. So also not the most durable for outdoors, but work very well indoors. The cushioning, you have good impact protection in the heel, relatively low to the ground in the forefoot, which is nice. The materials, they crease a lot, so if you don't want your shoes to crease, definitely stay away from these. The fit is also a little bit tricky. I always go half a size down for Adidas, and lengthwise they fit me the same as a US 14 Nike. This is a US 13.5. The width of the Harden 9 is better than on the 8s, which were insanely narrow here in the midfoot, which is sadly where my feet are really wide. Here it's a little bit better, but it still pinches at first, especially also because they crease. They just take some time to be broken in, but they're still a really, really good and very supportive shoe. That is probably the standout feature of the Harden Volume 9. Now, moving into the top 3, a drum roll for the first pair. The All City 13 from Way of Weight, which is one of the pairs that released towards the end of 2024, but they have excellent performance and are deserving of a spot on this list. And the reason why I like them so much is because they are a very versatile performer. They can be used both indoors and outdoors. Additionally, they also have great value for money, as they retail for only 160 euros or dollars. It's still a relatively high price, but compared to some other shoes that are more expensive, they really have a lot of things that stand out. So let's get straight into it and start with the traction performance. We have GCU in the heel, which is Way of Weight's newest traction setup. It stands for Ground Control Unit. It's a PU resin-based outsole. And in the forefoot, we have a translucent part, just a rubber outsole. Works very well, is durable enough for outdoors. I thought at first the GCU was not going to be durable enough for outdoors. It is. It works well on all types of surfaces I've tried them on. And the rubber outsole in the forefoot is just like normal rubber that Way of Weight uses. Very good and also still pretty durable. We also have some other colorways that have non-translucent types in the forefoot. They are even a little bit more durable. So overall, there's really a lot of options for you. And the reason why they're also so versatile is because different colorways have different materials. Here we have a very thin and soft mesh upper. Breathable as well. We even have some breathability holes here on the side that also act as extra lace loops. So these are definitely great if you play outdoors and if your feet are very sweaty. But there's also, and that's also one of the reasons why I prefer them, non-leather materials. But if you're not like me, there's one colorway that has some parts of real leather. Those were the red Stingray and the green Stingray that released first in December of 2024. And then there's a lot of colorways that have synthetic leather overlays, which is also nice, a little bit thicker, adds a little bit more comfort, also minorly more supportive than the colorway right here. But if you're like me and you really want a thin upper that's still supportive enough and that also has good breathability, then these are just perfect. For the cushioning setup, we have full length boom, very, very nice cushioning setup. One of my favorite technologies just for cushioning on the market. Good impact protection in the heel, relatively low to the ground in the forefoot, still good court feel. So overall, just very, very nice cushioning setup. Stepping comfort is also good. We have a super critical insole. It just adds a little bit more support and a little bit more stepping comfort than your regular insole that you can find in other basketball shoes. And the support features of the All City 13 are also excellent. We have a Euro plate, of course, that is based on Dwayne Wade's famous Euro step. You can see it here through the translucent outsole. We've got a heel cutter. You can see the moon-like theme here in the heel, external and internal. And we really have a good and well-working lacing system. So support, cushioning, traction, materials, all of them are top tier, and that's why they are deserving of the number 3 spot. For the number 2 on my list, we're gonna go to yet another overseas brand from Asia, as it's the Series Player Only Easy One. You can actually see the Series Player Only Player 1 Plus right here. They just arrived today. The Phantom colorway with these Swarovski crystals in the heel, and these just look so damn nice. It's one of the most insane colorways in my whole collection, and one of the most insane colorways I've ever seen. Definitely also an option for shoes that are great and still available, but they released so long ago I didn't even include them in the honorable mentions list, but also a very nice performer, and I'm planning to finally upload a full performance review on these as well. But now back to the Easy One. You probably guessed, because the Book 1 is my favorite shoe, that I really like shoes that have kind of an off-court vibe to them. These do have that exactly, especially in this colorway, look like Vans or Converse, and they also have really good on-court performance. The standout feature for them is that we have a dual density cushioning setup. They retail for 170 euros or dollars, which is still also great value for money. And what's so nice is that we have a really interesting cushioning setup, as I said. We have some compression here, some foam just in the midsole. Then we have the base of the drop-in midsole, which is a super critical foam, what they call it. Good impact protection, also feels kind of bouncy and responsive. And then we have on top of that 2 replaceable drop-in midsoles, one for on-court performance. It's a little bit more stiff, has better torsional support and not as soft. And then we have an off-court variant as well. That's just an ortholite insole that adds stepping comfort. And that's just an amazing feature. I've never seen that on any other basketball shoe, and just really cool that this shoe is also so versatile. Off-court, on-court use, whatever you want to do with them, they'll be good for it. If you're planning to hoop with them, what I would definitely recommend, because they are amazing performers, you will really enjoy the traction performance as well. This is also a PU resin-based outsole, and it works extremely well. It's also durable enough for outdoors, picks up hardly any dust, and I really enjoy playing with them. The cushioning setup, I told you already, feels very nice. Responsive, low to the ground, and you still have good impact protection, which is always very important for me, especially in the heel area of a shoe. The materials are all synthetic. We've got a canvas upper here on the side and a synthetic leather toe box in the forefoot. There's also some colorways that have real leather, if I'm not mistaken. The Valentine's colorways up on their website looks absolutely amazing, but I believe this is one of the colorways that has real leather, unfortunately, so they're not going to be for me, but maybe for one of you. If you don't like the look of these, there's also an all-white colorway available. It looks very clean, and these also have great supportive features. We've got a Pentex torsion plate that goes almost 2/3 of the entire length of the shoe, which is very nice and makes for great torsional support. We've got a little flex area here, or flex point in the forefoot between the materials, as you can see, which is very nice if you're a wide footer in the midfoot, just like me, because it just gives your foot a little bit of extra room to expand. The shoe is also adequately padded, and overall really an amazing performer. I love playing with them. I love the look of them. Some of my teammates were so confused when I was wearing them, because they just don't look like a basketball shoe, and they thought I was maybe making a joke and trying to prank them or something. But then I told them they're actually really good shoes. So if you haven't tried SPO, I'll definitely give these a go, as they are the best shoe they have, in my opinion, followed by the Player 1 Plus. If you've never tried them and you're wondering about sizing, I would go true to size. These are also wide foot friendly, and lengthwise they're maybe a tiny little bit short. So if you have an option to try them somewhere in store, make sure to do that. If you don't have that option, I think true to size is the best way to go with Series Player Only. With that out of the way, let's go to the number 1 shoe on the list, which is going to be yet again from Wade. Drum roll please. 808 5 Ultra. The reason why these are number 1, or the main reason, is because they improved drastically on the 808 4 Ultra that was already really good, and they improved the main weak points of that shoe, which makes these almost a perfect basketball shoe. The only reason why I don't wear them as much is because they are quite narrow, so I'll be wearing the Easy One more, or also the 13 more. But simply for performance of the average basketball player that doesn't have crazy wide feet like me, these are going to be the best option that's released in 2025 so far. And their standout feature is their drop-in midsole. It's not only a boom midsole, which we're used to from Wade, it's a super boom drop-in midsole. It's incredibly bouncy. It has good impact protection in the heel, and it's still low to the ground and responsive in the forefoot. I have no idea how they managed to do that, but that is definitely the best drop-in midsole I've tried, alongside the All Pro Nitro Elite's drop-in midsole. These are way cheaper, however, as they retail for 159 euros or dollars, which is great value for money. We also have a mix of GCU and tough OS rubber in the outsole. GCU here on the forefoot. You can see it as well here on some other colorways. This part is translucent, so you can make the distinction better. And here in the heel we have tough OS rubber, which is 3 times more durable than other rubber compounds used from other brands. At least that's what Wörthersee says on their website. And it works extremely well indoors, outdoors, no matter if it's dusty or not. These are really good, they're durable, they grip incredibly hard. They also have a relatively loud squeak if that's important to you. I don't mind it, and of course it has nothing to do with traction performance, but if you like your shoes to squeak, you'll be happy with those. The support features are also excellent. We have a carbon fiber plate, you can see it here on the outsole. Some other colorways also have some carbon fiber accents here in the heel area, and the materials are all synthetic, so just how I like it. Extremely thin, and in my opinion also the biggest upgrade from the 808-4 Ultra. Not as stiff anymore, they are pretty much broken in right out of the box, and the shoe overall is lighter and doesn't feel as clunky anymore. So really, this is the best basketball shoe you can get so far in 2025. And with that being said, let me know if I missed any pairs. Of course, I haven't been able to try every shoe that's released so far in 2024. The GT Cut 3 Turbo, for example, I've heard really good things about them. I would definitely want to give them a go. KD18 is coming out like now in Europe, so I definitely also want to give them a go. And some upcoming shoes like the A1 should also be pretty damn cool. So we'll see how the list changes until the end of the year, but so far these are my top 5. If you're wondering where you can cop these shoes, I'll try and leave affiliate links in the description box down below. You can also just check my link tree, as I always update with new lists or new stores where you can buy basketball shoes. My go-to store is Kicks, they're a partner store of mine. You can use the code Lucas for a discount, and you can also use a code at Way of Weight. But as I said, all additional information on where to cop these shoes can be found in the description box down below. With that being said, have a good one and see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment.